The galaxy had always looked at humans with curiosity and sometimes quiet doubt. They were small, fragile, and slow compared to the advanced alien civilizations that ruled star systems with fleets and weapons far beyond human imagination. Yet despite being underestimated, humans had survived every encounter, every challenge, and every war thrown at them for centuries. And that survival was something the galaxy did not fully understand. Captain Solara of the Triquin fleet hovered above the command deck, her green eyes wide with a mixture of awe and unease. She had been trained to face the fiercest enemies, commanders who ruled entire systems with fear and fire. She had never been afraid of anything, until she saw the human ship approaching. It was small, almost fragile looking, but something about it made her stomach tighten. Its hull shimmered with energy shields, strange and unpredictable, and sensors picked up weapons that moved faster than any alien technology should allow. Her crew whispered among themselves, fear creeping into their voices. "They're too reckless," said one officer. "They'll die before they even reach us." Another shook his head. "No, this is different. I don't know why, but I feel uneasy." On the human ship, Commander Jace stood silently on the bridge, staring at the stars. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of countless battles. "We are not here to fight unless it is forced upon us," he said softly. "But if they try to destroy us, we will survive. We always do." His words were simple, yet they carried a strength that made even his crew feel steady in the face of impossible odds. The humans had always been strange to other species. While aliens relied on fear, power, and dominance, humans relied on something different: willpower, courage, and hope. They were not the strongest physically, nor the fastest, but there was a stubborn fire in them that refused to die. Across thousands of star systems, that fire had been noticed quietly, almost instinctively. Other species could feel it in battle, in the way humans fought, in the way they survived against impossible threats. Captain Solara leaned closer to her console, studying the human ship's movement. It seemed almost playful, moving unpredictably but with purpose. She frowned. Why do they not hide? Why do they not surrender? Even with their numbers, they could not possibly win against us. Her voice was more a whisper to herself than a question for her crew. A young officer beside her, trembling, answered, I think it is because they are not afraid. I've never seen a species like this before." The word struck Solara harder than any weapon ever could. Humans did not know fear the way other races did. For them, fear was not a reason to flee. It was a reason to fight harder. It was not weakness, it was strength. On the human bridge, Jace turned to his crew, a faint smile appearing on his face. "Remember, we do not fight for destruction. We fight because it is right. We fight because we must survive, and we fight because giving up is not an option." His crew nodded, hearts steady, even though their bodies were tense with anticipation. For them, fear was a tool, not a master. They knew the galaxy would underestimate them. They had learned that lesson long ago. Yet in every mission, every battle, they proved the galaxy wrong. And in that quiet moment, as the stars stretched into streaks of light and the human ship approached the Triquin fleet, Captain Solara realized something that terrified her more than any weapon ever could. Humans were not the weakest. Humans were not the small, fragile species everyone believed. Humans were unstoppable. The galaxy had not yet faced the truth. Humans did not conquer with armies. Humans did not conquer with firepower. Humans conquered in the most dangerous way possible. They conquered with heart, courage, and an unbreakable will. And as Solara watched them draw closer, she understood why every species, every fleet, every civilization had learned the same lesson the hard way. You do not fight the humans unless you are ready to lose everything. The human ship glowed softly under the light of distant stars, small, ordinary, yet filled with something extraordinary. Something no alien technology could measure, something the galaxy had feared, often unknowingly, for centuries. The humans were coming, and for the first time, Captain Solara realized that this encounter might not be about weapons or strategy at all. It was about the impossible thing humans carried inside them: a spark, a fire, a will that refused to die. And that spark was the beginning of a story the galaxy would never forget. The vast emptiness near the Veil Nebula shimmered with the glow of distant stars, but the silence was tense. A massive alien armada, Thousands of ships stretching across space like a metallic sea surrounded the small human fleet. Their sleek hulls gleamed coldly, weapons ready to strike, engines humming with deadly precision. Every alien commander expected victory to be simple, inevitable. Humans, they assumed, would panic, scatter, or surrender, but the humans did not flinch. They held formation, engines humming in perfect synchrony. Commander Jace stood at the bridge, eyes steady on the approaching alien vessels. "Stay calm. Do what we've trained for. They will underestimate us. That is their mistake." His voice was calm, almost gentle, but it carried the weight of authority and absolute certainty. The first shots were fired. Alien lasers sliced through the void, hitting human ships with immense force. Explosions lit the darkness, metal twisted, and alarms blared. Yet the humans moved with a strange rhythm that baffled their enemies. Shields flickered but never failed. Weapons struck with precision that seemed impossible. Each human ship anticipated alien maneuvers, turning and striking in ways no alien algorithm could predict. Captain Solara watched in disbelief from her command deck. How are they surviving this? Their ships are small. Their numbers are weak, yet they fight as if the stars themselves bend to their will. Her hand shook slightly as she clutched the console. The Triquin officers around her exchanged fearful glances. Young pilot Lyra, a human just 20 years old, maneuvered her craft through a deadly swarm of alien fighters. Her heart raced, but she did not panic. Fingers danced over controls, adjusting shields, firing weapons, dodging missiles. A nearby pilot shouted in surprise, "How are they doing that?" "They are everywhere at once." Lyra's voice was steady. "We fight because we survive, and we survive because we never stop trying." The aliens were unsettled. Their strategies, perfected over centuries of conquest, failed again and again. For every human ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Every ambush, every trap, every overwhelming strike was met with adaptation, courage, and relentless will. Alien admirals whispered among themselves, confusion and fear rising. "They are not strong," said one. "Yet they strike with certainty. How is this possible?" Even more disturbing to the aliens was how humans treated life, both their own and others. They rescued injured crew members mid-battle, protected civilian transports, and risked everything to shield allies. It made no tactical sense, yet it made them terrifying. No weapon could destroy their determination. No fear could bend their spirit. On the human bridge, Commander Jace turned to his officers. "They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to run, but we do not fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is standing strong even when fear surrounds you. Remember that. We survive together, or we fall together." Across the battlefield, Captain Solara felt a chill run down her spine. This was not a fight of ships and lasers. This was something deeper. Something she could not measure or predict. Humans did not fight like other species. They fought with purpose, with hope, with a stubborn refusal to surrender. And that made them, in a way, more dangerous than any weapon. The first battle ended without a decisive victory, but the aliens knew the truth. Humans could not be underestimated. They were not weak. They were not naive. They were something far more powerful than technology or numbers could ever measure. In the quiet moments after the battle, Lyra repaired her damaged ship while looking out into the starry void. "They think courage is foolish," she whispered to herself. But courage is the only weapon that never fails. And across the galaxy, alien leaders began to murmur the same uneasy truth. Humans fight differently. Humans survive differently, and the galaxy had never seen a species like them before. The stars around the Veil Nebula glimmered like scattered diamonds, silent witnesses to a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Humans do not flee. Humans do not surrender, and humans never stop fighting. And in that truth lay the first real fear any alien fleet had felt in centuries. The humans were coming. And they would never stop. The battle near the Veil Nebula had ended, but it was only the beginning. Weeks passed as the alien fleet tested the humans in every way they could imagine. They set traps, laid ambushes, and unleashed waves of advanced fighters, hoping to crush the small human fleet once and for all. Yet with each challenge, the humans adapted. Every attack they survived made them stronger, smarter, and more united. Commander Jace walked the bridge of his ship, watching his crew work tirelessly. Each officer and pilot moved with precision, repairing damages, recalculating strategies, and tending to the wounded. Even when a strike destroyed one of their vessels, the humans did not panic. Another crew took its place, another pilot flew into danger without hesitation. Every failure became a lesson, every danger a test of courage. Young Lyra, still recovering from her near miss in the first encounter, stared at the sensors and saw the incoming waves of alien ships. "They think we will break," she said softly. "They think fear will control us. But we don't fear. We fight because we have to, and we survive because we refuse to give up." The alien commanders were growing desperate. Admiral Rorschach, who had once commanded the largest fleet in the galaxy, slammed his clawed hand against the control console. "How can this be? Every plan fails. Every attack is countered. They are small, weak, insignificant, yet they strike with certainty. Why?" His voice trembled with frustration. In the alien council, debates raged. "We cannot defeat them," one argued. "Their technology is inferior. Their numbers are minimal, and yet they survive everything we throw at them." Another council member shook his head. "It is not their weapons that are dangerous. It is their will. They fight for each other, for life, for something greater than themselves. That is power we do not understand." Meanwhile, the humans held a quiet moment on the bridge. Commander Jace looked at his crew, tired but resolute. "Courage is not the absence of fear," he said. "Courage is standing firm when everything tells you to run. We are not here to destroy, but to survive. We survive because we fight together, and together nothing can break us." Across the battlefield, alien observers noticed something even more disturbing. Humans did not just survive, they inspired. When one ship fell, the others moved faster, smarter, with renewed energy. Human acts of bravery sparked hope in their allies and fear in their enemies. It was as if every human action carried a lesson the galaxy had never seen. That determination and heart could outweigh technology, numbers, and experience. Captain Solara watched her fleet falter again and again. She realized, reluctantly, that the humans were teaching the galaxy a dangerous truth. Strength was not just in weapons or size. Strength could come from unity, from courage, from the refusal to surrender. Humans survived because they refused to bow, even in the face of certain death, and that made them more dangerous than any alien warship or weapon. Back on the human ship, Lyra repaired her damaged systems while thinking of her family back on Earth. She remembered stories of humanity's past, how humans had survived plagues, wars and disasters, often against impossible odds. "We are the same," she whispered. "The galaxy may not understand us, but we carry the same fire that kept humanity alive for thousands of years. And we will not let it die now." Commander Jace nodded silently, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the pride in his crew. "We fight not to conquer," he said softly, almost to himself. "We fight to survive, and in surviving we change the universe one act of courage at a time." The alien armada began to realize a frightening truth. Humans could not be broken. Every trap failed. Every attack was met with adaptation. Every attempt to intimidate them only made them stronger. Fear, the weapon every other species relied upon, had no hold over humans, and as the stars glimmered silently around them, one thought echoed across the battlefield, whispered in the minds of alien commanders. Humans are not weak. Humans are not reckless. Humans are unstoppable, not because of their ships or their weapons, but because of the fire they carry inside, the fire that no alien could ever extinguish. The test of will was far from over. But one thing was clear: the galaxy had never faced a species like this, and it feared them, quietly, deeply, more than it would ever admit. Days stretched into weeks, and the alien fleet could no longer ignore the truth. Every tactic, every strategy, every overwhelming attack failed against the humans. Each assault was met with adaptation, courage, and an unbreakable will that no alien technology could understand. Admiral Rorschach slammed his claws against the control console in frustration, feeling the weight of humiliation settle over him like a dark cloud. "It should be impossible," he roared. "They are insignificant. They cannot fight like this. How do they survive every attack?" Around the council chamber, alien leaders whispered among themselves, fear thinly masked by pride. The humans had proven one undeniable fact: they could not be dominated. Every failed strike, every broken plan, every trap that backfired only strengthened the humans. And more terrifying than their resilience was their purpose. Humans did not fight for conquest, not for power, not for glory. They fought for survival, for each other, and for ideals the aliens could not comprehend. Perhaps we are missing something, Vireen, an elder council member, said quietly. Her voice was calm but firm, cutting through the tense room. Humans do not fight the way we do. We rely on fear, on force, on intimidation. But humans fight because they believe in something greater than themselves. They fight for hope, for unity, for life itself. That is strength we do not understand, Rorschach growled, pacing the chamber. Hope, unity, life, these are words, not weapons. They cannot protect a fleet. They cannot win a war, and yet, every time we attack, they survive. Every time we strike, they grow stronger. It defies logic. Vireen nodded slowly. It is not logic that makes them strong. It is spirit. Their courage spreads, their determination inspires. When one human falls, 10 more rise. They are not just a fleet. They are a force of nature, something beyond our calculations. And that is why the galaxy fears them, even if we do not say it aloud. Meanwhile, Commander Jace and his crew on the human ship had no knowledge of the debates raging across the alien fleets. They had only their mission, their duty, and each other. Lyra, working at her station, glanced at the stars beyond and whispered, "They think they can break us. They think fear can control us. But they do not understand that hope is stronger than fear, and courage. Courage never dies." The humans continued to repair, to strategize, and to prepare for whatever the aliens would throw at them next. Every ship, every crew member, every action reflected the same truth. Survival was not just instinct. It was will. It was unity. It was a refusal to bow to forces far stronger than themselves. Back in the alien council, the atmosphere was tense. Arguments flared between generals who wanted to escalate attacks and advisors who counseled restraint. "We must destroy them before they become a legend," one said angrily. "If they inspire others, the galaxy will rise against us." Vireen shook her head. "You do not understand. They are already a legend. They survive because of something no weapon can touch, spirit. And that spirit spreads." Rorschach slammed the table again, but even his rage could not silence the truth that had begun to take root in the council. Humans could not be broken. They could not be dominated. They could not be understood. And the more the aliens tried, the more they realized that perhaps the galaxy's fear of humanity was not about their weapons, numbers, or technology. It was about something far deeper, something intangible, something unstoppable. In the quiet corridors of the human ship, Commander Jace looked at his crew and said softly, "They may try everything, but we do not fight to intimidate. We fight to survive. We fight to protect each other. And in that, we are unstoppable." Across the stars, alien fleets hesitated. For the first time in centuries, they faced a species they could neither conquer nor understand. And that hesitation, that fear born not from defeat but from awe, marked the beginning of a new truth. The galaxy would never fight humans lightly. Humans were not just another species. They were a force that challenged the very way the universe understood power. And somewhere deep in the hearts of every alien commander, a quiet, unspoken thought took root. We cannot defeat them. And perhaps we never will. The humans had survived weeks of relentless attacks. Each encounter with the alien fleet only proved one undeniable truth. Humans could endure what no one else could. Yet it was not their weapons or their ships that terrified the galaxy. It was something far deeper, something intangible yet more powerful than any technology. A captured alien soldier, trembling and defeated, was brought before the human commanders. His armor was scratched, his ship broken, and fear radiated from him like heat. He tried to speak with courage, but his voice shook. I do not understand," he stammered. "Your people, you survive everything. Every trap, every attack. And yet you do not strike to destroy us. You fight. To protect, you fight. To endure." Commander Jace looked at him calmly, the weight of countless battles reflected in his eyes. "We fight because we must," he said. "We fight because giving up is not an option. We do not seek to conquer, we do not seek to dominate. We survive because we care, because we protect, because we refuse to stop." The alien soldier's eyes widened, confusion and fear mingling. He had been trained to fear strength, to fear numbers and weapons, but he had never seen a force like this. Humans did not bend to fear. They did not break under pressure, and they did not fight for selfish reasons. Every action, every strategy, every daring maneuver carried purpose beyond survival. It carried hope. On the human bridge, Lyra repaired the last of the shields, glancing at Commander Jace. "They don't understand," she whispered. "It's not our ships that make us strong. It's our heart, our will, our courage. That's what terrifies them." Jace nodded. "They are afraid not because they cannot destroy us, but because they can't break us. And when they see one human rise after another, when they see courage and hope spread among our people, they realize they are facing something greater than themselves." In the alien council, the truth was slowly sinking in. Vereen spoke softly, though her words carried a weight that silenced others. "It is not technology that makes humans strong. It is their spirit. Every time they lose, they rise. Every time they are beaten, they adapt. And in that, they show the galaxy something it has forgotten. Hope and courage are more powerful than fear and weapons." Admiral Rorak growled, slamming his clawed hands against the council table. "It cannot be. No species should endure this. No species should survive every attack. Yet, they do. And with every battle, they grow stronger. They fight not for power, but for each other. That is something no weapon can touch. That is something unstoppable." Back on the human ship, the crew moved quietly, repairing damages, tending to injured crewmates, and preparing for the next challenge. They had no illusions about the danger around them, yet fear never touched them the way it did their enemies. Each human believed in something far greater than themselves, the bond they shared, the will to survive, and the hope for a future worth living. Lyra looked out into the void of stars, thinking of Earth, of families, of home. "Maybe that's why they fear us," she whispered. "It's not our fleet. It's not our weapons. It's that we fight because we love and we survive because we refuse to give up." They have never faced that before. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. They will never understand it fully. But that's why humanity survives. Not because we are strongest, not because we are fastest. We survive because we refuse to surrender. And that refusal inspires fear, awe, and respect. And in that we change the galaxy. The alien soldier, still trembling, was led away. He would carry the lesson of human courage back to his leaders. And across the galaxy, that lesson was spreading. Other species, watching humans survive impossible odds, began to whisper the same truth. Humans were not to be underestimated, not because of their strength, but because of their heart. For the humans, survival was never about glory or conquest. It was about endurance, unity, and hope. And for the first time, the galaxy began to understand the secret no one had ever explained before. Humans could not be broken. And that secret was far more powerful than any weapon the aliens had ever built. The galaxy had begun to whisper about humans in ways no species ever had. Not as conquerors, not as tyrants, but as something far more dangerous, an unstoppable force of courage and unity. Across countless star systems, alien leaders debated how to deal with a species they could neither break nor fully understand. Admiral Rorak paced his chamber, claws tapping against the metallic floor. "We cannot defeat them," he growled. "Every attack fails. Every strategy is countered. And every time we think we understand them, they rise stronger. It is unnatural." Vereen, the elder council member, watched him silently. "It is not unnatural," she said softly. "It is human nature. They fight because they care. They survive because they refuse to surrender. That is something no weapon can ever take from them. That is why the galaxy fears them." Meanwhile, the humans prepared quietly on their ships. Commander Jace moved among his crew, offering encouragement, checking on repairs, and ensuring every officer felt steady and ready. His presence alone carried reassurance. "We do not fight to conquer," he reminded them. "We fight because it is right. We fight because we must survive, and we survive because we face fear together." Young pilot Lyra adjusted her shields, glancing at the approaching alien vessels. "They think fear can control us," she whispered. "But they do not understand that hope is stronger than fear. Courage never dies. And every time they see us survive, they learn a lesson they cannot unlearn." The aliens tested the humans again, sending waves of fighters and massive warships toward the human fleet. Yet every human ship moved with precision, anticipating attacks, protecting each other, and striking in ways that defied logic. Even when a vessel was damaged, the crew adapted instantly, repairing systems mid-battle while continuing to fight. Every loss only strengthened their resolve. Captain Solara watched from the alien command deck, her heart uneasy. She had faced countless species in war, but never one like this. They are unbreakable, she muttered to herself. Not because of their weapons, but because of their hearts. Every time we think they are weak, they prove otherwise. Every time we strike, they grow stronger. How can this be? The council argued again. Some wanted to continue attacking, to crush the humans by force. Others hesitated, sensing something deeper, an invisible power that no laser, missile, or fleet could destroy. It is not strength that makes them dangerous, Vereen said again. It is spirit. Humans fight not to destroy but to endure. And in enduring, they teach the galaxy a lesson we cannot unlearn. Courage and hope are more powerful than fear and weapons. On the human bridge, Jace looked at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. They will never defeat us because we do not fight like them, he said quietly. We do not fight to dominate. We fight to survive, and when we survive, we inspire. That inspiration spreads, and in that, we are stronger than any fleet, any weapon, any force the galaxy can muster. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining with determination. We survive because we refuse to give up. We fight because we care, and that is why the galaxy fears us, not our ships, not our weapons, but what we carry inside us. The alien fleet slowly retreated, their attacks becoming cautious, hesitant. They had seen human courage firsthand, and it had shaken them to the core. They had not been defeated, yet they knew in their hearts that the humans were not like any species they had ever faced. Across the stars, whispers of human bravery spread, stories of small crews surviving impossible odds, of pilots facing death without fear, of humans protecting life even when it cost them everything, began to circulate among alien civilizations. And with each tale, the galaxy learned the same lesson over and over. Humans cannot be broken. In the quiet of the human ship, Commander Jace stood before his crew, eyes reflecting the starlight. We do not fight to rule, he said softly. We fight to endure. We fight because we believe in something greater than ourselves. And in that, we have already changed the galaxy. The stars outside glimmered like silent witnesses to the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were a force that inspired, a spark that no weapon could extinguish, and a reminder to every civilization that courage, hope, and unity were stronger than fear. And for the first time, the galaxy truly understood why humans were unstoppable, and why no species would ever fight them lightly again. Centuries passed, and the humans became more than a fleet or a species. They became a legend whispered across the galaxy. Not as conquerors, not as tyrants, but as a symbol of courage, unity, and unyielding hope. Stories of humans surviving impossible odds, facing overwhelming enemies, and never surrendering were told in distant star systems, inspiring awe and quiet respect. In quiet corners of alien civilizations, children grew up hearing tales of human bravery. They heard of pilots who dodged impossible attacks, of commanders who stood firm in the face of annihilation, of crews who rescued friends even when danger threatened their own lives. Humans do not fight to destroy, teachers whispered. They fight to survive, and in surviving, they change the universe. Even the alien fleets that had once tried to annihilate them had learned a bitter lesson. Admiral Rorak, now old and gray, remembered those battles near the Veil Nebula with a mixture of fear and awe. We could not break them, he admitted to the council. Not because of their ships, not because of their weapons, but because of something no technology could touch. They fight with heart, with courage, with hope. That is why the galaxy never defeats the humans. On a human training station orbiting a quiet star, young cadets prepared for their first missions. Lyra, now a seasoned pilot, walked among them, offering guidance and encouragement. You may face enemies stronger, faster, and more numerous than you, she told them. But remember, the humans who came before you survived because they refused to give up. Courage and unity are our weapons, hope is our shield, and together we are unstoppable. Commander Jace, older now, sat on the bridge of his flagship, gazing at the stars that stretched endlessly around him. The galaxy had changed because of humans, not through war or conquest, but through endurance, spirit, and determination. We fight not to rule, he said softly to his crew. We fight to survive, to protect, and to inspire. And in doing so, we remind the universe of something it often forgets. Hope is stronger than fear. Somewhere in a distant system, Captain Solara, once the enemy, watched human ships move through space with the same precision and calm she had witnessed centuries ago. Her eyes softened as she whispered, "They are not just survivors. They are a force the galaxy respects, even if it cannot understand them. They fight differently, live differently, and that is why we never truly defeat them. Humans never sought glory. They never sought domination. Every battle, every mission, every act of courage carried a purpose far greater than themselves. Even in the darkest corners of space, where alien fleets once ruled with fear, the memory of human bravery persisted. Hope had spread quietly, subtly, and irrevocably, and on Earth, long after humanity had expanded into the stars, children looked up at the night sky and dreamed. They dreamed not of power, not of conquest, but of courage, of surviving against impossible odds, of protecting life, of standing together when the universe tried to push them down. Across the galaxy,